In developing modern learning spaces, we've really had to question what a classroom is and really think about whether four walls are the best way to contain education. Here in Spring Lake Park, over the last decade really, we've renovated some of the buildings into profoundly different learning spaces.
I was drawn to Spring Lake Park, and I find myself as the principal here at the high school, primarily because this is a space where we ask the question, do we have to do school the way it's always been done? I've never worked in a space where that question is so sincere that it changes our physical space. That's what we've seen here.
In those flexible learning spaces, the students take more ownership of their learning. And so that opens up their creativity, their innovation.
I think when kids walk into this building, they're enthused, they're excited just because of the space and what it allows for. We have space that's flexible, it's adaptable.
In Centerview, we took the idea of a set of teachers working together and developed a concept that we call a learning studio. The real key to the learning studio is flexibility and the ability to group and regroup kids in different settings and different times for their needs.
They have the variety of spaces to help support the students, classrooms, small group spaces, operable walls to create the larger group spaces, and then the furniture within that helps support those spaces by being flexible and mobile.
This year it's really been a family. We're one as a first grade. Because of that, the kids don't really see that space as mine. It's more so it's all of ours.
It is encouraged that the team of staff kind of create that into its own atmosphere.
When you stack kids up in rows and columns in a classroom, they can get packed in pretty well. And particularly with older schools or where districts are just starting out, we need to claim a space outside the classroom. And that's really where flex spaces started, is how do we make those activities that are happening in the hallway on the floor into a legitimate learning space for students. And of course, over time, as we've done new buildings and renovated buildings, we can create better and better spaces for that, so that really the whole building becomes a learning space.
We have so many different spaces in this building within each grade level. We have active learning spaces, STEM spaces, a space that's very inclusive that we can put students who need breaks that changes colors.
Teachers and students have conversations about the activity and how it'll play out. And with that, they talk about how might we move the furniture or create a space that's more conducive to us being able to engage in the learning process.
I'm really seeing and hearing teachers think first, what's the learning that's happening, followed by what spaces in the school will best facilitate the learning for our kids.
Obviously, it's a lot of fun to do a new building, but I also find it really rewarding to remodel old buildings. And it's a matter of just finding the opportunity where you can. You carve a little bit of space out here, you create some transparency there, and all of a sudden you can have a very different environment.
It allows us to teach just differently. It's just a creative space to work in. It caters to teachers' creativity. And we have all of these spaces right at our fingertips.
What I've noticed when I walk around the building is there's a lot of smiles on kids' faces.
I think they are learning more than what we saw in the past just because they're able to have more freedom and to complete activities in ways in which they want to. We're able to, prepare these students for the 21st century.
Having these spaces where students can be trusted also empowers them to take responsibility for themselves. And certainly all of these buildings require a different sort of a culture. You need to build a different culture around these spaces. But once you do that, the rewards are immense for everybody.